Hello and welcome to HyzerMedia's coverage of Birdie Presents Push the Little Daisies from Stafford Woods in Voorhees, New Jersey. This tournament and coverage is sponsored by Birdie Disc Golf Supply. Birdie and HyzerMedia are also doing a disc giveaway. All you have to do is hit that red subscribe button and comment "done" down below. Also, thank you to our Patreon family. I'm Dave Oster, here to bring you the final round coverage. Let's take a look at our scores from the first round. Our card is going to be Jason Tiligadas, Brandon Koppenjan shooting pretty close, pretty hot rounds. Rabi Orellana and Daxel Alvarez will be rounding out our card. So we're going to jump right into it with hole 1, par 3, 309 feet. Pretty straight shot if you're going this line. There's also a wide line to the right. A couple trees right here you have to miss going this way. And kind of got to get lucky to get all the way up to the basket because there's these few guardian trees and a fallen log. Jason's going to get us started. Looks like he's taking the wide line, which doesn't look very big of a gap to hit. But if you throw the turnover, there actually is quite a bit of distance between those two trees. That makes it look like a very narrow gap. So a lot of players do decide to go for that. And Brandon narrowly missing the first one, unfortunately catching the second one. But if you get around there with something stable enough to come back, it is a pretty open line after you hit the first gap. Here we see Rabi trying that same line, maybe a little bit too low. Catches the one big tree in the middle. Maybe didn't quite commit to turning it over or going through the straight line. And Dax just a little bit early, trying for that straight gap. But he'll have something here. We are playing to the blue baskets today, so we'll see these silver baskets on some of these holes. Those are the short pin positions. But we're playing to the blue basket as we see Dax puts it right underneath. And this is Brandon maneuvering through the trees and around that short basket. If you hadn't seen the first round, we actually had a black ace throw in on one of the holes, meaning they threw into the wrong basket, which seems to happen more often at Stafford Woods than other courses. We've seen other instances of that, excuse me. And Brandon with a nice par save after getting kicked pretty far right off the tee. And a nice birdie putt to start off the second and final round for Jay. Picking up right where he left off. Also another par save for Rabi. And Dax just has to tap in, and that first hole is in the books. We're going to move over to hole 2. We are playing a different layout than usual. It's a odd, even longs and shorts. So hole 2 we're playing from the short tee pad. Still a par 4, 355 feet. Have to throw straight and have something turn over for a backhand, or forehand is gonna finish to the right. It is definitely an eagleable hole at this distance if you hit the right line, so could definitely make for some exciting action early in a round if you can accomplish that. This is similar to the line you're looking for. It looks like maybe it caught something and kicked. We'll see where he actually ended up. And Brandon going to show us the forehand line. Almost great. He does catch the tree right at the last second. If that hit the ground and skipped, that was going to be rocketed right towards the basket. So that would have been pretty close. And Rabi with a little bit more height than Jay. Looks like he got through pretty clean. That's going to be maybe a mid-circle 2 bid for his eagle. And Dax going with the forehand just a bit too high. Came out early right. But depending on where you land, it actually is kind of open over there. Can kind of cut off the corner. As you see, he just needed to miss that last tree. Basket just to the right side there. Yeah, Jay looked like he just got maybe caught up on this log or kicked back over it. But that'll be a easy birdie from there. And this is Brandon for his eagle bid, even though he didn't get all the way near. Oh, and off the basket's cage backside. He was that close to ringing up the eagle, tying Jay for the lead for the moment if he made that. And another decent bid by Rabi for his eagle, but went a little long, so he'll still have some work to do for his birdie comebacker, which is something you don't say very often, a birdie comebacker. Oh, left side chains. After being that far up after your first throw, that's going to be probably a par that he is not happy with. And actually, he's not super close yet. Okay, yeah, he does make the par. So, a couple eagle bids, wind up with a couple birdies, couple pars. Not too bad, and we'll move on to long tee pad for hole 3. Par 3, 313 feet. Water carry hole, first of 2 for this course. The water isn't really an issue unless you hit this hillside or one of these trees and then wind up getting kicked backwards. Basically, the distance of the carry isn't really a challenge, especially for the lead card for the MPO division. But hitting this gap is definitely what these players are trying to do. And then, of course, slow it down in time to do exactly that. Get it right near the basket. You saw there are 2 stacked baskets. They're playing to the top one. The lower basket is just an easier putt. Obviously, an elevated basket just adds that extra challenge for this division. And this tournament, actually. Everybody's playing the same. So Brandon gets most of the way through that gap, catches that last tree that's kind of leaning over into the green. So he'll have a longer putt than he probably would have wanted, but still up there. And Rabi threw something a little bit straighter, but still gets all the way to the green. That'll be just fine for him. Dax lining up maybe something a little bit more of a hyzer angle, fading from right to left. And maybe just, nope, that's perfect. Kind of skips off the log, gets a little closer. So Brandon the furthest out, and he's not really that far. But like I said, anything to an elevated basket makes it a more challenging putt. And he nails it just over the rim. Great putt by Brandon. And now Dax from the end of the log. Oh, just left side chains and low. That would have brought Dax back to even for the tournament. Unfortunate, just near miss for him. But Rabi and Jay tap in their birdies. So we'll move on to hole 4, par 4, 439 feet, playing from the short tee pad that we see on the right side, which makes this green very reachable for some of the bigger arms. Basically throwing a straight, either a flip up to flat or a pure hyzer we've seen from some of these players. Probably trying to land around here, maybe a little bit further if you can, and skip up onto the green. The grass is still pretty low and not quite lush at this point of the year, so the skips will definitely come into play. Left side there is a big, basically a sinkhole type thing that you do not want to be in. And that's about where you want to land. Jay didn't really get much ground play. There is some strange kind of undulations of the ground once you get up there, so he might have just got caught up by that. Brandon throwing a nice flat shot, letting the disc do the work, and gets a weird kind of counter skip. That's the perfect shot that you're kind of looking for that usually gets rocketed towards the green. His kind of skipped up and to the right from his perspective, and got a decent little rollout, but definitely not like you'd expect. Rabi turns this over, but it is coming back. Oh, and he gets caught up in that tree, but it's as long as he's not completely blocked off, he'll be able to access the green from there. Again, these shorter par fours, they are eagleable, definitely, but what it really allows you to do is if you don't have a terrific tee shot, you can still get back in position and potentially get your birdie with a second shot that makes up for it. And we'll see if Dax can do just that here. Oh, and it looks like he was on his way to doing just that, but caught the last guardian tree before he was able to access the green. And a beautiful shot by Rabi, getting the patent pending through a gap. It was had more of an obstructed throw than it looked like from the original shot, but makes up for it, and he is on the green for his birdie. Jay giving it a bit of a bid. That's for his eagle, and this is also Brandon for a very long eagle look, but he is jump putting. Deciding to lay it up. He knows there's plenty of golf left. Just take the birdie. Doesn't want to go too long and risk getting a par after not able to get his birdie on the first hole. And that's a good putt by Rabi. He was actually a little bit further than it looked from his upshot. So a little bit of work to do, but he cashes the birdie. So he's right there. A couple strokes between him and Brandon. A couple strokes between Brandon and Jay. So we've got a battle at the top going. Battle at the top, and Jay's fighting. So good birdie by him. Dax and Brandon should clean up these putts. And we're moving over to hole 5. Par 4, 611 feet. OB on the right side and the left side. Big slope from right to left, so these backhands have to go real wide and try to crash down onto preferably the right side, because this fairway just eats your discs, really drags them all the way to the left side OB, especially if the wind's coming off this field, which it usually is. And second shots can be a little tricky depending on exactly where you are. More distance obviously makes it easier, but the out of bounds does go all the way around behind the basket. So backhands, as we'll see, have to go real wide like I was saying. Forehands kind of have the advantage because they're skipping into the hill. And that's what you want to do. Jay shows us perfectly there. Something real stable that'll kind of dive down and dig into the ground. And Brandon throwing a forehand, turnover, super flex, and that gives you the perfect angle to dive back into the slope, so it doesn't really have a chance to skip out of bounds right, and then obviously not out of bounds left. And this looks very high. It needs to sit down. Oh, and that goes over the line. And that's exactly what you are worried about. You need to throw it so wide and have it be so stable that it dives down and doesn't continue to glide from right to left and skip. And that's the nice easy forehand play. Just get it out there and Didn't get quite as much distance as Brandon, so he's up first. Oh, and doesn't get it turned over enough, and that is out of bounds over there. He's on the opposite side of those white stakes. He's up near the green. I'm not sure exactly where he went out, but that was a bit of an error on Dax's part. Oh, and that needs to sit. I believe it does. That looked like the wind caught it and threw it a lot further to the left than Jay expected. So Rabi out of bounds, but a beautiful shot up on the green. He should easily be able to save his par from there. Oh, and Brandon so far up the fairway, but catching that last tree. Otherwise, he would have been very close to the basket for his birdie on this hole. I don't think we've seen any birdies on this hole for either round of this tournament now, unless somebody has a throw-in like that was about to be. That was a great bid by Jay. And also a very good bid by Brandon, but that went very far. I don't believe it went out of bounds. There is out of bounds over there. So Dex maybe trying to fight this wind. There was a lot of wind coming off the field from our left. And it affects Rabi as well. I thought he was closer than he actually wound up being. And Brandon was pretty far as well. He makes a good comebacker putt to save his par. An unfortunate double for Dax after he winds up out of bounds on his second shot. It looked like he tried to play the safe short forehand. Wasn't able to execute the second shot. Winds up with a double, but only 5 holes in, so he can make up. Ooh, and a little high. But honestly, a bogey on this hole after an out of bounds on your drive, not a bad result. Obviously, he had a beautiful second drive, so he wished that would have been able to cash the par. But we'll move on. Hole 6 from the shortest of the 3 tee pads. Still a par 4, 468 feet. Definitely reachable. The wind coming kind of headwind left to right. Backhands trying to skip through either of these lines of trees is the aggressive play. The more safer play is just to throw a flat to Hyzer or all Hyzer to try to land near this gap that the drone is flying through, to pitch up to this beautiful elevated built up green where upshots can be very tricky. There's a short distance between the basket and the out of bounds line behind the basket, so you're either trying to land up on top but risk going over, or land well short, not on any of these tiers, and then have a very elevated putt, again still with that out of bounds line behind. So Brandon throwing almost all the way through these trees. He'll be left side. He should have a pretty open shot and maybe less than 100 feet. That was a pretty good distance shot. And Rabi throwing very similar shot to Jay. Like I said, that's the not even this necessarily safe shot. That's the play for a par 4. You throw it flat, a little bit of hyzer, get it over to the left side where the gaps are bigger, pitch up, maybe try to get yourself in a position for a birdie. Brandon obviously throwing it a little bit farther. Maybe he's going to try to give it a bid, not sure. Dax catching a tree. Jay throwing the turnover. Oh, he also catches a tree. And this tree line is just far enough away that if you do catch a tree, you're not really going to be able to run it. Oh, and Rabi also catching the same tree. Very well placed. Let me see, Brandon is jump putting. and doesn't quite get the height on it, and that's a typical result hitting this retaining wall. It's just that it's a wall. It's very likely going to hit, bounce back. Dax giving it a little bit too much angle, fades off to the left. You'll probably have a putt from there. And similar result to Brandon that Jay just had. You hit that wall, it's going to bounce back. Oh, and a great bid by Rabi. Just low. And almost exact same result for Brandon from much closer, unfortunately. And a great par. That was not an easy putt. When the bottom of the pole of the basket is above your head, that's obviously a difficult putt. Plus he had a tailwind. Oh, and that went all the way through the chains and barely came out for Jay. Unfortunate bogey. He played that hole pretty much perfect. Gave himself like a 12 or 15 footer for his par. And just not able to have it stay in. So 3 pars and a bogey. And we'll move over to our second water carry hole. This one a little bit trickier. Got to hit a tighter gap, maybe 100 feet off the tee. And then crossing over the wider part of this small pond. Retaining wall, trees, and a hill, all to avoid because they can very often hit any of these and kick back into the water. So we'll see how these players tackle it. Oh, and Brandon hitting early tree. That is not where you want to be. Obviously, these mounds are going to be in your way, and there's trees all around. We'll have to see how Brandon tackles his next throw. And that did cross, and it is in bounds. A little bit right side, kind of throw it into that hill. Looked like maybe the wind turned it over more than he expected. And it looks like Dax will be playing the safe play again, pitching up to the short tee pad. Playing just a smart game. Knows that maybe he's not super confident to go across, so played it smart. I like it. And Jay throwing a very similar shot to Rabi. So Brandon is way back here. Oh, and kicks a tree. And doesn't go in the water. That is very unlikely. Super steep slope that goes right down. Not sure how the disc managed to not go in the water. Great shot by Dax getting over there. He'll have a putt for his par. So that safe play seemed to work. And look at this. Brandon, feet from the water. It just barely evens out before it gets to the water. And he throws a great shot to park it for, unfortunately, his bogey. But honestly, after those first 2 throws and still not even across the water, I think he will consider himself lucky that he didn't go in. Different time of year, water level higher. I think right where that disc is sitting, he's out of bounds. So, a bit fortunate for him. Rabi and Jay pitching up. And Dax has this left for his par. And there you go. Safe play. Very windy day. This is obviously one of the windiest holes, being right next to the field where the direction of the wind is coming from. So, very smart. Jay taking an extra second, make sure he has everything calculated correctly for the wind. And honestly, Brandon shouldn't be too upset with that bogey after those first 2 throws. So, moving over to hole 8, par 3, 244 feet. There is a short pin on that stump that we just passed that people on this card are going to be trying to avoid this round. No spoilers, but if you haven't seen the first round, this is where something special happened. Go back and check that out. But throwing pretty much straight shot to Hyzer. There's a wider line, there's a tighter line. Just trying to get up to the...
Oh my god! I thought I did.
The blue basket that we're looking at. I think Rabi maybe came very close to hitting that short pin, and that's what we could hear the players kind of exclaiming about. Oh, and Daxel looked like he had a good line, had the height coming in, but just a little bit too wide. Catches that leaning tree on the right side. And I think the wind coming from left to right, we're still close to that field, kind of prevented that skip that Jay was looking for, because that was a pretty good line. And Brandon taking a tree hit and going way right side. Oh, and another tree hit. Oh, and a beautiful flare skip. Didn't see the line that he liked straight forward, so decides to go way around it. That was a beautiful shot by Dax. So this is what Brandon has left for par. You can see a few trees with leaves around this part of the course. It is blowing. And it's right in his face for this putt. Oh. Just a little low to the side. And a great birdie. Circle 2 putt. That's going to get you pumped. Couple tap-ins left for Jay and Dax. They'll both be for their pars. So 2 pars, birdie and a bogey. So card plays even. Little score separation. Rabi and Brandon are within 1 stroke, couple strokes behind Jay. 1 hole left on this front 9 of the final round. Hole 9 is from the long tee pad, par 3, 301 feet. There is a wide route and a tighter route. You see the drone flying through here. Most players are going to try to get through there and hit the ground flat, so they skip up to the basket. And backhand turnovers or forehands will work well. It is a tight gap, though. It's not an easy one to hit. And that's pretty much it. I think he got through clean, maybe just a little low to have the time for the disc to fade out and glide straight to the basket. And that looks like the opposite, maybe a little bit too high, faded out real early, but similar line. I think maybe Jay caught something, maybe those small trees in between. The line isn't obvious. It's a very not natural line for these players to be throwing. Trying to get through. Brandon throwing a little early, and he catches and falls down right. But he must have got through, because if Jay's up first... And yeah, beautiful upshot. That'll be easy par. So Brandon more right side. He does get through. He'll have a clean look at it. Yep, that should do. 15, 18 feet. Dax doing a nice little touch flex shot to get up there. And Rabi actually close enough that he should have a maybe just outside the circle putt. Oh, and just low. And that putt would have brought him tied for second place. Want to remind everybody as we finish out this last hole in the front nine that Birdie Disc Golf and HyzerMedia are doing a giveaway for 2 Marvel putters. All you have to do is click that red subscribe button down below and comment "done," and we'll be choosing a winner in the coming days. So do that. Thank you so much for watching. That was the front nine of the Birdie Presents Push the Little Daisies from Stafford Woods in Voorhees, New Jersey. I'm Dave Oster. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you on the back nine. We'll see you over there.